So I was going to talk about pseudo-elements 2 months ago, but I couldn't make it, so that's the same talk. So small overview of what a pseudo-element is, but before that, I'm going to talk about the thing I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about pseudo-classes. Here's a list of all the pseudo-classes. You can find the same list on MDN with a link for each. So you know some of them like over, first child, and there is some weird one like left or right. I'm just going to tell the difference between both because there is some confusion sometimes. So basically, a pseudo-class selector will filter stuff to the selected element, while pseudo-element will add a fake element to the selected element. So if you imagine this simple list, this code basically say take all the li and then filter them to take only the li that has the first child, so the first from their parents. While this one means take all the li and add an element before their content. So there's only 5 pseudo-elements. There is the first thing, so first letter and first line. There is selection, which is not in the spec anymore, and before and after. So again, a list to the MDN. So let's start with first letter. Here, I have 2 paragraphs. The first one has a span with the class first letter for the L, and the second one is just paragraph is text. So that's the CSS that is applied to it. As you can see, there is a class first letter. So if I remove, no, not to the right. If I remove that, we have the same style applied for both, without any more markup for this paragraph. So it's exactly the same thing for first line. So here I already did the same thing. So here we have a paragraph with a div for the first line. So the problem is if you do that, if your div is bigger, if your paragraph is bigger, well, you won't have anything after the first line. But here, you just continue and let the style on the first one. So you don't have to think about wrapping the first line or anything. You can also have both. So that's just an example I took from Polygon. So we also have selection. So selection, as I said, is non-standard. Doesn't support much CSS, and you always need to put no selection and selection, because if you change them with a comma, you're gonna have an invalid selector error, because Firefox doesn't recognize selection and the other doesn't recognize most selection, so you always need to duplicate your content. So here's an example. It's my website. So if I select my name, you have selection on each letter. So that's useless, completely useless. But that's nice. So before and after. Before and after are only used on element with content. So non self-closing tag element like image, input, BR, or HR. Talking about content. Content is one of before and after CSS properties. By default, it's none, which means there is no content at all, and you need a content to have the element showing on the page. So content can be a string, even an empty string. It can also be a URL, so it can be an image, an SVG, a data URI, or even a CSS gradient. It can be an attribute, which is pretty cool. Basically, it means that it will take the parent attribute value for this ATKR. So I'll show you an example just after. And there's also counter and codes that are pretty useless, and you can use them, but I'm not going to talk about them. So some very basic example. Here is my email 4 times, and here's the code for it. So as you can see, the first one has they all have a before. The first one has a content email before it. Second one is an ASCII character. You can directly put the UTF-8 character if you want, it's the same thing. Third one is an image. And the last one is actually an MTP, and with the data email with my email. And so I'm just showing my email with the attribute function. You should never put actual content in a content, because it won't be read by screen reader and by bots. So for an email, you may want not to be read by a bot, but for real content, no, shouldn't. So this is pretty cool animation made by Chris Coger last year, in the end of the year. So you can imagine a box. Yes, a box with a border. If you look at the corner of the border, it's going to be all by 45 degrees. So if you remove the content of the border, you're going to have four triangles. So you just have to hide the one you don't want to show, and you have a triangle. So here you have a tooltip with just one element. So some of the shapes, very basic shapes, like a circle. A circle is just a square with a border radius 50%. You can tweak it. You can make like a lemon. What is the percentage here? Let's see. And you can have anything you want, really. And another one that is very easy, it's tick. So basically, you just have rectangle with two borders, and you rotate it. So if I'm showing that, so yeah, two links. So shape of CSS again by Chris Coger, and pure CSS GUI icon by Nicolas Gardner. There is heaps of examples of shapes, more complicated, way more complicated than that, with only one element. So if I'm showing that, it's because 2 weeks ago we finished a project where I used heaps of pseudo-elements like that. Like that's not an image, that's a triangle with another one inside. Oops. This one is just a circle, so it's very basic like that, but for responsive design it's easier to change the width and the height, or to change the color. Here we have some ticks, just here. And it's hard to see, but there is a triangle with a border. So again, just two triangles. And here, it's just two labels. Those circles are a before with a border radius. And this one has actually a background image in the circle. And this triangle is an after. So there's some other tips that maybe you use every day, like the clear fix that was made by HTML5 boilerplate a couple of years ago, and that is used by Bootstrap. So maybe if you use Bootstrap, you have those before and after all over your code. So that's a very good tip. There's another one that is not very known. Something that is very annoying in CSS is to align vertically stuff. So if you don't know their side, because if you know their side, there is a top 50% and margin top minus half of the elements, of the height of the elements. But with just a before and after, you can easily center stuff. So here I have a P, 200 pixel. I have two span inside. So what I can do is having a before element that will be the height of the parent and putting a display line block on it and a vertical align middle, which will align all the display inline and display line block elements that are next to it. So if I just remove this comment, they're aligned, and that's very basic. That's very useful for image, for instance, image galleries. And I have a last example that I did 3 years ago already. So this ribbon, I can't move it. Okay. It's supposed to work, obviously. So it's supposed just to change the width of this element. And so this ribbon is, can I do that? Because it's a Mac, I guess. It works on Linux. What are the color? Yeah, I can change the color at least. So there is 3 elements, and the rest is just pseudo elements. And so it's responsive. You can change the color very easily, and that's it.